So you're telling me this is how the girls turn up? Then I'ma stick with the girls.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head, I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked, I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think.
Here we go.
Episode 2. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Girls Social.
Welcome, welcome. We are in for a conversation today.
Oh, yeah. I am your host, Taylor Kessler.
And I am Sydney McPhail.
We are so excited. So this is our second episode. This episode is all about friendships, breakups with friends, and how to navigate relationships in your 20s.
All the good stuff. So we ended episode 1 on this question, and we have some good topics to chat about.
I agree. So before we get into this, let's talk a little bit about this podcast, just kind of rounding out. This is not going to be our permanent set. This is just our loner set, thanks to my lovely fiance. We're going to change it up. Every episode, we're going to get a little bit better. It's going to be a little bit more comfortable. We're going to have a new set. So if you guys have any ideas of things that you want to see, what you want it to look like, give us some ideas and we will build that out for you. We promised the guys after our 3rd episode that we'd get to 3 episodes and then we would build our set.
We're off to a good start.
We are.
2 weeks in it, yeah.
We're 2nd episode already. One more and I'm buying a whole camera setup.
Mics, cameras, signs, all of the things.
Couch. It's going to be a lot more girly. It's going to be a lot more fun, more relaxed. This is just our baby location for now. This is just our starting point.
It's honestly perfect though.
It is. But I just wanted y'all to know, so things will be changing.
And if you have any input, definitely. Should we go pink?
Yeah, should we go pink? Should we go white? Should we go neutral? Let us know. But I just want to hop into that. But to start our podcast, I kind of want to hit highs and lows of the week. Sid, it's been a week since the podcast that we did last time. What are your highs? What are your lows for the week?
Oh gosh. I feel like honestly, a big high for me that I was really proud of was watching back episode 1, and as bad as it sounds, not tearing myself apart. This is something new for me. So I was like, okay, it's, you know what? First podcast, we got it. And low, I honestly don't know that I have a low. I can't think of one time this week that I was like, man, this sucks.
Stressed, or it was just...
Yeah, it was just it was a good week.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. Sometimes you need weeks like that where it's everything was just good.
Honestly, I even because I do, as silly as it sounds, daily reflections on my day. Okay, what went well, what didn't, what do I need to do tomorrow? And on yesterday, I was like, okay, it was a really good week. I can't think of anything that
I can't think of anything that I would change. I would have to agree. I feel like this week was good. My high, I think, was probably I got to see one of my best friends from college, and she just had a baby. And I threw her a baby shower back in October, but he's now a month old, and I got to see him and hold him for the first time this morning. And it was one of the most surreal feelings because I quite literally grew up with this girl. We went to college together. She was my roommate for 2 years. So we've really been through we grew up to, we've been through the ringer.
All the phases.
Yeah. And so it's really cool to see her in this new chapter of her life, and, to see this little thing that's a part of her.
That she made?
Yeah. I could start crying thinking about it now, and seeing her so happy, and seeing this little baby that's just so pure and so sweet. He has such a little personality too. He has such a quizzical brow like she does. She's known for making this stink face.
And he's got the stink face?
And he's got it too. And it is the funniest thing. I was like, Avery, he is literally cut from the same cloth as you.
Wait, oh my gosh, wasn't she at Max's surprise party?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Good for her. And you threw her baby shower.
I threw her baby shower, yeah. So I think that was my high today. This week was seeing him and seeing her and just starting this new chapter, because it is so exciting to see my friends fulfilling things in their lives. Low would be, I was supposed to go dress shopping on Thursday for my wedding dress.
I thought about this.
I know, but my mom got COVID. So she got, can you bleep out that C word? My mom got the big C, and I wasn't able to go, and it's something I definitely didn't want to do without her. So I was kind of sad on that front because I was so excited and I was looking forward to it so much these past few weeks. So it was a little disappointing, but everything happens for a reason. There's gonna be more styles next time I go to try on now, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I thought about that because I was going to bring you Anabar samples. And I was like, oh, Taylor's gone. And then I was like, wait, I don't think she went.
I didn't go. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately. So we've moved it. We've moved it to 111, which is even better because I'm all about like angel numbers, and 111, like 111. Good
Something
number.
tells me you're going to find your dress on that day.
I hope so. Oh my gosh. But let's get back into the whole relationships, breakups, everything like that.
Definitely.
So
should we start with the question from last week?
Yeah.
I know that we ended on a question, like an advice.
like, how do you get through? It was like, how do you get through a breakup?
navigating. Okay.
Like, how do you get through like a breakup with a friend? Like, how do you navigate that?
Oof. I feel like you go through the stages as if you would like any breakup, and honestly the stages of grief. Because
Yeah.
I personally think that, depending on the circumstances, a friendship breakup is worse
Oh, I
than a
agree.
relationship breakup.
1,000%. I feel like it's hard, like, with a partner, like, obviously it's just a relationship where you're dating, but like, I feel like a friend is somebody that's like a sibling to me. A lot of my friends like have been huge, like fundamental parts of my life where I confide in them for a lot of stuff. I talk to them about a lot of things. I use you guys to kind of like balance my ideas in my head, and like you guys are kind of like a soundboard for me for how I'm feeling throughout any situation, really. So I feel like sometimes friendship relationships can be a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, like, you got to protect your peace, and it doesn't have to be an all-out war. It doesn't have to be a battle. You don't have to unfollow. You don't have to block. It is complicated, and I feel like you have to tread lightly when it comes to like a friend or a past friend.
I think the thing that's really challenging is that when you go through a relationship breakup, you have your girls, like you have your friends. And that's not to say that you wouldn't in a friendship breakup, but it's highly likely the person you would want to talk to is the person that you're separating from. And that's difficult.
And that's like, especially when you are going through that like breakup with them, or like you guys are distancing yourself, I find that it's like, who do I go to talk about this? Like, and I'm not the type of person, like, I have a rule, like, I don't want to talk about my friends. Like, I will never talk ill about really anybody, but definitely not any of my friends. And so when it's like I'm frustrated, or I'm trying to figure out like and navigate the situation at hand, and I'm just needing advice on like what to do, it's not so easy for me to take my own advice.
No, it's not. And I think also sometimes, and obviously there's different forms of friendship breakups, which we'll definitely get into. But in terms of just like falling apart, or like nothing crazy, not a big falling out, it's also difficult because you might be grieving a person that like no longer exists, if that makes sense. Because we change. I know a lot of times, like long-term friendships, you're not the same person you were when maybe you were at your closest. And that can be difficult too.
Yeah. And I feel like it's really hard too with your age, like right now. Like, we are in a place where some people are getting married, some people are having babies, some people, like, I'm the youngest of my friend group, like the people that I like have known for a very long time, like 10 plus years. I'm the youngest out of all of them, and I always felt like kind of left out because I was like, I was in a relationship, but I wasn't married, I wasn't having kids, like I wasn't thinking about that part of my life at that point, and all my friends were. And so I felt like I was falling behind, and I started to distance myself, and they started to distance themselves, because honestly, life gets in the way of a lot of things. And we are busy. We all have our own things going on, and we all have our own lives and like our own stories that we have to live. And so sometimes sometimes friendship breakups don't have to be like an all-out war. It's not because like this person said this thing about you, or this person's starting drama. Like, it could quite literally just be, we're at different stages of our lives, and that's okay. It's like, I will never wish anything bad for you. Like, I love you. I wish the best for you, but like, we aren't at the same stage anymore.
I completely agree. And I think also, depending on the circumstances, just because right now things aren't maybe like lining up, or maybe you're in different places of your life, again, depending on the circumstances, it doesn't mean that later down the line you can't rekindle, or at least just like be on good terms. And, if you see each other in public, smile and say hi and that kind of a thing. But so often we think that it's like the end all be all. Like, we're never going to speak to this person again. We're never going to see them again. And I think also, especially with women, I don't know that it's as common with men, but with women, it almost feels like we have this confusion of like now we have to hate each other.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
And I feel like that's just how like society and entertainment has kind of depicted female relationships. And like we talked about it last time, like I find a lot that like the world that we live in, people pit women against each other. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And it's sad that it has to be that way, but I guess it's just people aren't communicating anymore. People aren't having conversations about it. Like they're just kind of letting it be. And it's like, I don't like her anymore. And it's not like that, because I've honestly, like one of my closest friends for the longest time, she and I were so close, and I hurt her, she hurt me. We didn't know, and like we didn't talk about it. And we went almost 2 years without seeing each other. And when I tell you that this girl and I used to spend every single day together, and I didn't understand what happened, and she didn't really understand like my side of it either. And it's literally just because we didn't talk. Like we didn't talk it through.
Yep.
And you know, sometimes we didn't talk it through because like we were hurt from each other, and we're like, you know what, we're just gonna distance ourselves. Like I wish you the best, like, but we're just not gonna talk right now. And unfortunately, we missed 2 years of our lives that we could have like been happy and been best friends and like gone through life together. And we just rekindled recently. But it took that 2 years of separation to be like, this is silly. Like, this is so silly for us to like kind of be distant with one another, because she truly was my best friend and we did everything together. Like she was literally my twin. We literally looked alike. We acted the same, dressed the same. And I loved her and I wanted to support her in everything she did. And I will never forget it. It felt like a breakup at that time. Like I remember going through it and I was like, this hurts. Like
I've never had the kind of pain from a breakup that I'm like, I cannot think of a single time.
Yeah. I mean, I've had hard relationship breakups, but I feel like my friendship breakups are always a little bit more tender to my heart, just because I'm like, I share more of my life with my friends sometimes than I do with my partner. Well, it's different now that like Max and I, like Max is so different from every other relationship I've ever been in, where like him and I are closer than most of my girlfriends now. He is now my girlfriend. He's like also my best friend as my boyfriend. And he is that voice of reason for me. But he also like I don't know if this is like a guy thing, but like he like doesn't know how to, he's not a drama, he does not do confrontation, and he is not dramatic at all. And he like doesn't know how to answer my questions when I'm like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
I think it's a guy thing, but I'm the same way, where I absolutely despise confrontation. Like I would rather just not at all. And I'm kind of coming into getting more comfortable with that. But I do think that it's kind of a guy thing, because Ryan and I were talking about this topic, I think yesterday or the day before, and we were talking about how he is at least friends with, if not super close with, all of his childhood friends. And I was like, I just feel like that's not like a girl thing. And we've had this conversation so many times. And he was like, that's something that you should talk about on the podcast. And I was like, but I don't necessarily know why it is that way with guys, because I'm not a guy. But as far as like growing up, I can think of all of my closest friendships, and even the people that like maybe I just drifted apart from, or had a falling out with. I'm just like, I don't have that connection where he could text his like elementary school friends and be like, hey, and like they just pick right back up.
I will say I don't have that relationship with friends in high school either. Like growing up, like I had a really good close knit group of girlfriends, but it was such, I don't know about you, but like it was such drama. Like who was the prettiest, who was the smartest, who was the hottest, who's the athletic, like who's the popular girl in our group, who's like, it changed every week with like who's the it girl of our group. And like each friend would like support this one girl and then like leave one person out. And like I remember my life was so different, like especially my last year of high school, because I was competing in pageants and my life was just different. I wasn't around as much. I didn't really hang out with anybody anymore. I kind of just focused on myself, and I had like goals, and not that they didn't have goals that they were going for, but like I wasn't focused on the same high school things that everybody else was focused on. And like I wanted to be a model, and that was my life. And I wasn't a normal high schooler anymore. And I just remember the girls just like kind of like not being rude, but they just weren't nice to me about it. They kind of like, I don't want to say jealousy, but because I think it's so silly when people are like, they were just jealous of you. I'm like, no, I don't think that was it at all. It was just weird. And I remember after graduation, I stopped talking. I didn't talk to anybody. I like cut everybody out. Like I was like, I'm done. Like I'm done with high school. I was like, I will never walk back in this high school. Now my sister teaches at the same high school, so I have to walk back in there. But I just remember cutting that relationship off because I was like, this isn't healthy for me. What does this do for me?
And that's a hard thing too. But I want to get back into the pageant thing because for me, my experience in like friendships was very, very, I think, different from most girls, just in the sense that, number one, I feel like I've always been a very small circle person, and like I've had like one best friend, and my one best friend, like all throughout middle school and high school, was like, she was like family. Like she lived with us for a certain amount of time, and we don't talk a lot anymore, but she's one of those people that I know if I texted her right now, like she'd be there. We just, I moved away. And that's my second point, is that I moved away my sophomore year of high school. So I had to completely restart. So my whole friendship experience was a little bit different. And I can't imagine like being in pageants and being around girls all the time, what kind of experiences you had. So can we talk about that?
Yeah. It was different. I mean, I've always been around girls because I played sports growing up. And so I was like used to this world, but it's different in the sense of like these girls that I'm competing against. So that we're not on the same team. So yes, we're friends, but
there's that no, it's okay.
I'm
there's an
say
underlying thing there.
They're still your competition at the end of the day. Like you are competing against these girls. I will truthfully say, growing up when I first started competing, I wasn't friends with any of them.
I was going to say, I'm not built for that at all.
I wasn't like, and I wasn't there to make friends. I was nice to everybody, but like I didn't trust anybody because in pageants, and I wouldn't say so much of the girls, but it was the moms that like would terrorize you. They would start rumors about girls, and they'd be like, well, this girl did this and this girl did that. And like they'd send in photos and and I heard about it. I've always heard about it, but I didn't know it until I like fully started competing. I'm gonna get blackballed from pageants after this, but yeah, like moms would send in photos and videos of their daughter, like of other people's daughters, and I'm like, and I thank God every day my mother wasn't like this because my mother really didn't get into it. My mom's like, I don't want any of that.
She's like, I'm just here to support my girl.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care. She's like, you mess with her, I'll come after you, but I'm just here to like support her. I don't care what your daughter's doing. Like if that's what she's doing, good for her.
Well, what kind of a?
It's like
you're bullying a teenage girl.
Oh, literally. So many of these moms bullied these girls, and like I just like didn't trust a lot of them. I had 2 good girlfriends that I was friends with like when I first started in teen, and we kind of drifted away, and like that just happened with age and everything. But there was one girl that I just didn't feel competition with, and like her and I got really close, and we loved each other, especially because we could talk about the experiences of pageants, because it was hard and it does take a lot on you as a teenager. Like we're supposed to look a certain way at 16. It's just not how it works. But as I got older, I started becoming friends with a few more of the girls, but I never, it's funny because I talk about this with like my girlfriends in different states. Because I have many different friend groups because I feel like I've lived a million different lives. So I had like my high school friends that I'm not really friends with anymore. I don't really talk to them at all. And then I had my pageant friends, like people I know in the pageant world. And then I had my like modeling friend group that like I would model with like at Sherry Hill. And then I had like my sorority friends and like my college friends. And then I had my friends after college that I'd go out with, and like I have like 17 different groups of friends and people. But like my girlfriends that I modeled with for like Sherry Hill, they all competed in pageants too. And they were like, your state is so peculiar because it's not like this here. Like my Alabama friends and my South Carolina friends were like, y'all are wild. Like they have their drama, but like Texas pageants are built different. Like we are bred to do this. Like this is so serious here in the state, and like it's taken so heavily that like it truly ruined some people's reputations, unfortunately. And I never got into that, and I never got close enough to people to like allow anybody to even try to. I mean, I didn't do anything for people to try to ruin my reputation, but it doesn't mean people didn't try.
I do.
And it built trust issues.
Well, I can't.
I had trust.
We can get into that.
I had trust issues.
Ooh, I have trust issues and I didn't do pageants, like specifically with women.
Yeah.
But cheers.
Cheers. I'm like,
No shot today, by
No
the way.
shot.
Not to get off topic.
no shots today. Just gaslight a rosé.
We learned, yes, we're using Taylor Swift as an inspiration for this conversation. But
Yes.
that's exactly why I wanted to get into that, because you have lived, like we haven't even talked about it in depth, but I was thinking about like all of the like different lives and like experiences you've gone through, and also you like moved around a lot.
Yeah.
But you were also in an environment where like you were around a lot of girls.
Oh, all the time.
And yeah, I didn't. So I'm like, okay, well, how do these experiences like differ from each other? You know?
I remember a rumor going around when I won Miss Texas. And
God.
yeah. And it was like she wasn't nice. She was like, she was only focused on herself that weekend, and that's how you're supposed to be when you're competing. And the reason I had to do that was because I used to be too nice. Like I used to be in the background, like when I was competing against these girls and they needed help with their hair, or they needed help with makeup, or they needed to get zipped in their dress, or they needed a pep talk, like they needed me to put butt glue on them, like, which is like glue that holds down your swimsuit when you walk.
Okay,
So
we did that
it doesn't ride up.
In bodybuilding,
Yeah.
we did that.
And like I was doing all these things and I was helping all these other people before helping myself. And one of like my guy friends, my hairdresser, he was like, Taylor, you need to stop doing that. He's like, I'm not saying don't help other people, but help yourself first. And then help the people around you, because I was always rushing to like finish getting ready because I was helping everybody else around me. And so when the year I won, I remember I was like, okay, there's a girl like yelling, like freaking out, being like, help me zip up my dress, like I can't get up my dress. And I was like, okay, like, I'll help you, like give me 2 seconds, but like let me zip my dress up real quick and then I can help you. And so I'll never forget, like after I won.
Oh my God, you're so mean.
Yeah, after I won, these rumors coming out that like I wasn't a nice girl, and I was like, it's not that I wasn't nice. Like I finally was just like learning to put myself first.
Well, what do they tell you on an airplane? Put your mask on and then others.
Sydney.
I'm just saying, like,
I mean, but you're right. You are right, and I had to learn that, and it doesn't mean I'm a mean girl, but I definitely like. I had trust issues when it came to the girls in the circle, because I was worried. I was always worried that like these girls were getting close to me to like ruin my life, to like tear me down. So I didn't win. They wanted to find a flaw.
Yeah, that's interesting because, and you were so young.
Yeah, I was young, but I think it's like when I first saw it, it wasn't even like affecting me, but I was good friends with people that like were doing it to others, or I knew people that knew other people were doing it to others, and it was terrifying. I was like, you guys are quite literally like could ruin this girl's life, and like could like, guys, when I'm saying like people would send like tweets that were from the past, like people would just find nudes of girls, like people found videos of girls, people found videos of girls drinking, like people found like just anything that could be like compromising of who you are and like the title. Like if it was found, like it could cause a lot of damage. And like, especially at that age, at 18, 19 years old, I'm like, that's all I could think about was like, this could literally ruin my life. So I was very cautious with a lot of the things that I did, because I was like, I don't want anything to like ever come out like and ruin my reputation.
Well, and just think, I mean, I can't, anytime, you know, nobody's perfect.
No.
I'm sure that I have hurt people before, but what I can say is I try really, really hard to be like, how would I feel if this was done to me? Because I've been in the position where someone did me like dirty, and like pointed the finger at me, and I was like, how would you feel? And it was like they couldn't like see that, and so I really try to have that empathy. But my experience with like not trusting people was a lot later.
Yeah.
Later, like very recently. And I'm just I talked about it a little bit on the first episode.
But so when somebody was pointing the finger at you, how did you handle that?
I apologized. Like, and genuinely, I will say this.
You apologized for what she said that you did, or did you know that you did?
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
It was, and I don't want this to be like an attack on anyone.
No.
But I had someone, a best friend, did me dirty. And in the conversation of like, how could you do this to me? Yeah. It was basically like, so what had happened was, and I made my fair share of mistakes in that situation, but I found out that she was just really not who she said she was, and she had really betrayed me, and I put her on blast. I mean, I'll admit that.
On blast, like to the world or just to her face?
I don't want to get into the details, but
Okay,
she was
we don't
posting.
have to-
She
yeah.
was posting basically. The whole thing was that she was, doing really heavily betraying me, and the whole time telling me about it, but I didn't know that she was telling me about it.
Have you seen the movie? It's like Do Revenge or So Revenge. It's on Netflix.
I don't think so.
Oh, you're gonna watch it because it's literally something like that where she's like telling this girl this story and like trying to ruin this person's life and like like it's nuts.
Yeah.
That's sad. And but you didn't do anything.
No, and obviously my one mistake in that entire situation was the fact that she was posting TikToks about the situation, me not knowing that it was about me. And so when I found out, I shared it and was like, can you imagine like doing this to your best friend and posting about it? And I apologized for
Yeah.
it, but like to this day, I've never received an apology. And it was a difficult thing, but all that to say that it immediately put me on guard to trusting people. And I know I talked about that in the last episode of just like meeting you and like seeing the kind of person that you are and the kind of friend that you are. I was like, okay, like I don't have to have my walls up 24/7. But that was,
And I think it takes time. And
it
like
definitely does.
that's one of the reasons like I always was like I'm never going to be friends with people in the pageant world, and I ended up like after everything like I have friends in the pageant world, and I realized it wasn't so much the girls, it was so much the moms. And so as we got older things changed, but no, I definitely understand like having somebody hurt you and then you're like, okay, now I have trust issues with everybody around me. Like
Well, you trust your judgment.
yeah. And like I'm a very good judge of character. I right away like know if I like you or don't like you, and like I'm always going to give you a chance no matter what to like prove me wrong. But I've learned recently, I feel like fool me once, like shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And it's a hard thing to say, but like I'm dealing with it in the sense of I have a friend or had a friend that like just did some things that weren't so right and hurt my feelings, and then like pointed the finger at me and said it was my fault, and I took responsibility for that. And I was like, I never meant to hurt you. I didn't mean to hurt you, and if I was hurting you, I'm so sorry. Like I never wanted that. But like, how do I explain this without like really getting into the nitty-gritty of it?
Same.
But at the end of the day, you say it, but you go, sis, go
Okay.
off.
No, I didn't want to talk over you, but I do think that there's a level of hurt that comes from you yourself taking accountability and
Yeah.
like in a situation, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. And I think that friendship breakups and breakups in general, it just gets messy.
Yeah.
Because the moment things go bad, everyone points fingers. And so when you take accountability and then you don't get that same like reciprocation,
Yeah.
I think that's really painful, because you're like, I know I'm not perfect.
I think that
know
hurts. That hurts me more than anything else. I feel like that's the number one thing that like is a dagger in the heart, is when they're like you accept everything. You're like, okay, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that you took it this way. I didn't ever mean for like myself to hurt you. Like I didn't know this action that I was doing was causing you pain. But when you're doing the same thing and you're hurting me, you're not taking a responsibility for it. You're saying that what I did to you is why you're doing this, when I've actually truly like done nothing wrong. Like you came up with these ideas in your head of like what you thought was happening, and without like even coming to talk to me, like you didn't even give me the chance to talk to you about it. You just assumed right away and then like went and cut me at the knees.
Right. And I do think that, because I think obviously communication is huge in any relationship that you're having. And I don't know why, and maybe this is a great thing to talk about. I feel like we talk so much about communication in our romantic relationships. Like there has to be communication, but you don't really hear that about friendships. And then
Yeah.
what happens is that there's a bunch of built up things that for whatever reason, we don't want to hurt our friends. And we, instead of just like sitting down and having a conversation about it, it turns into a bunch of resentment. And then when the conversation finally happens, it's everything at once.
Oh,
And then it's an attack. At
it's
that
an
point,
attack.
you're like,
It is World War III. We are going after each other, and people are like, "Oh, I thought you guys were close. What happened?" And you're like, "You don't even want to know," and it's truly sad. And I will have to say that like I haven't ever really had like a full like all out. Recently, I haven't had like a full all out like girl fight war, like yelling at each other, like super upset. like the last kind of like fallout I had with a friend was honestly a hard one. But at the end of the day, I had to do what I needed to in order to protect my peace because I'm in such a good space in my life that I don't have time for that. I don't have time for negativity. I don't have time for distrust, dishonesty. And I saw too many things that I questioned and I gave time and time again to like prove me wrong. And there was just a lot that I couldn't look past, and it's really unfortunate. And like, it's not that it's going to end horribly, and like, it's not that it doesn't hurt me like not being friends with this person, because I do remember all the good times. Like, we had so many great times together, and we are at different points of our lives, but there were so many things that had been done that like it's going to take a lot for me to heal. And it's not to say that we won't be friends in a couple of years or in a few months, but right now it's time for me to focus on myself and focus on my peace and happiness. And I'll never forget it. And it kind of pertains more to like people using me for like pageant stuff and like my face and my name. And it was my first pageant for Miss Houston Teen and my makeup artist. It was like the number one piece of advice I ever like got. And I tell everybody this, like, I'm like, keep your circle small. And I listen to it to an extent, obviously. Cause I have small circles, but I have a lot of them, but each circle is small, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I don't have one large circle. It's just a couple of small circles now.
Well, and because of all of the phases of life you've been through,
Yeah.
like it's impossible to not have your different, like maybe you're one way with, not that you like are different, but maybe like these friendships are a little bit different than like these ones. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. And like they all were great like at a certain time in our lives. Like I have like my like model friends where like we all live in different states, but we are still all so close and talk. And like we went through some grueling times together as models, and we modeled together. Like I modeled for 10 years for a company, and some of those girls modeled for like 4 or 5 years. And so we really like truly grew up together. And so like we may not talk every day, but we do like wish each other the best. And like we've never had problems. We're just very understanding. And then I have like my sorority girls who like we've really been through the ringer together.
That's another experience I don't have.
Oh, sorority was great. I loved it. And it wasn't like, I know a lot of girls are like, sororities are horrible. Like they're like a cult. You're paying for your friends. These girls had known me, like the ones that I'm the closest with, had known me since I was 16 years old because my sister was their pledge mom. And so they had known me like before I was even going to join the sorority, before I was even going to go to that college. And now like they were my roommates for 2 years and we did everything together. And honestly, I'm like, those are the girls that I know that if anything was going wrong with me, like I could call them and they'd be like, I'm there. I'm here for you. Like, what do you need? It's like they have literally seen me like through an abusive relationship and pageant things and just my world and like all the fun things of being Taylor Kessler that came with who I am.
Well, and those are the friendships that I feel like are so like you've seen me and stuck with me through so many different versions of myself. And that's like so like priceless.
They knew me before I was anything.
Right. And I think that there's something to be said about like, because when we change, a lot of times that can be an uncomfortable experience for the people around us.
Yeah.
Like you're not how you used to be. And I can think back to, you know, like in different eras of my life because, you know, just to put like I went through a party phase and it was very, very obvious that like these are my party friends. And then these are my like true ride or die friends.
Dies, yeah.
And when I stopped drinking, there was that like when I really got into fitness and I went into prep, it was like, oh, you think you're better than everybody because you're fit. And I was like, no, absolutely not. Like you do your thing, you go drink. But the people that stuck with me through that and like understood like, oh, you're not a different person. You're on a different
phase.
experience. Yeah. I will always, and I'll always love all of them, but there's something special about that.
Oh yeah. Cause I feel like deep down in your heart of hearts, like you still are the same person. Like
Absolutely.
Just because you're going through a different time doesn't mean that you're different. Doesn't mean that your feelings have changed for them.
Well, and it also gave me at least like an understanding and appreciation for like when that happened in reverse, where like I had friends going through different, I try so hard to support people. Like my ideal, like, okay, what do I want in a friend is someone who is always there, always is going to love me, always is going to have my back, lets me be me, but also isn't afraid to be like, hey, like
call you out.
Call me out. Yeah. Like if I am screwing up but not in like a mean way, but just in like, hey, listen, I love you. I've got your back regardless, but here's this. I'm just going to lay this out. That to me is a friend.
Yeah.
But then like at the end of the day, like regardless of the decision you make, they've got your back. They're going to stick around and you know that.
And it's like, that's like one of the, like, so two of the girls that I'm really close to, like in my sorority, obviously one being Avery and then one being my first roommate was Carly. And these girls, like, they will call me out on my BS no matter what. Like, if I don't respond, I'm not responsive, they'll call me out on it. And I love it because they keep me grounded. And they truly have seen every side of me. They have seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And I always joke with them because they're now both of them are moms. And I'm like, you guys, I was your first child. I was like, you guys raised me and like made me kind of who I am. And like, I'll never forget it. Like too, when I went through like my abusive relationship, Carly was one of the main people that kind of like picked me up and was like, no, like fix your crown, queen. Like we're gonna work on this and like, we're going to get through it. And her and I, like, obviously, like, we're in super different chapters of our lives. Like, she's married, has a beautiful child. Like, we'd say he's my little, like, I guess would it be nephew? Because I'm an aunt. Yeah, he's like my nephew, and we can go months without talking, but as soon as we see each other, it is like no time has passed.
Nothing has changed. I love that.
And I feel now, like, when I have relationships with people, even though I know all of my relationships are different, I look at me and Carly's relationship or me and Avery's relationship and I'm like, is it like this? And if it's not like this, it's not that it doesn't matter to me. I just know that if it's similar, it's special. So the way that I am with you and the way that I am with Mona and the way that I am with Heidi, y'all's three relationships remind me of those relationships. One that y'all are very caring, but you guys also like will call me out and be like, Taylor, like, have you ever thought about this? And like, think of like the other side of the situation. And you guys keep me grounded and I love it.
That makes me, I'm not as emotional as last week.
No.
I honestly, in recording this, I can feel like why we were so emotional because we didn't take that tequila shot this time.
Oh my God, no.
Because I'm hearing that and like my heart's like, oh my gosh.
And also last time I was, it was right before I had the time of my life.
The time.
But relationships are interesting. And I feel like one of the things that we need to talk about is like protecting your peace. Because this is a new thing that I'm learning.
Okay, so I do have a question that I actually wrote down here. Do you feel like a conversation is always warranted in a friendship or relationship ending?
No.
Neither do I.
No, and I just learned this recently. And I think it was more to the fact that I felt the reasoning for the conversation was very selfish and not for me, but for somebody else. And I asked for space, time, and peace. And
you weren't given.
I wasn't given that, unfortunately. And not to say like there could have been miscommunication in that point where like she probably was trying to give me the space that I needed. But there's two instances that I think of like with this situation where I've just completely like ghosted. And I'm not somebody that does that normally. I'm very big on communication. But to protect myself, I had nothing else to say.
I had an incredibly similar situation, and I will always love this girl. So I want to make very, very clear. I will always love her. I will love y'all too.
Yes.
No, yeah.
We will love you, but
this is one of those things where it's a little tricky to talk about because I'm like, if someone listens to this, I don't want them to feel attacked at all.
Yeah.
But on the topic of protecting peace, if you've had the conversation before over and over, if you have had to repeat yourself, there comes a point where not even just for yourself, but for both parties involved, it's like, okay, we've had these conversations. There is nothing left to say. And I did, and it's something that I really battled for a long time because I did ghost. And I was like, I know that this is going, because it hurt me. I'm like, I know this is going to hurt this person too. But I have like begged and asked and, had this conversation a million times. And it just like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
You're like, we've talked about it. We've been through it. It would be different if this was the first time this was happening. Mm-hmm. But if it keeps happening again and again and again and time again, you keep showing me that like our relationship, not that our relationship doesn't matter, but you're going to put yourself first in the relationship, then what makes me not put myself first now?
And knowing that the conversation is only going to be a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Like if you are stressed about having, like obviously if you know that you can have some kind of a civil like walking away and conversation and closure, like definitely do that. But if you know that like your point of view isn't going to be seen, you almost just have to be like, you know what? Like, and I can genuinely say that even though I know that it maybe wouldn't be seen this way from the other person, that I did that for both of us.
Yeah.
And almost just getting comfortable with the fact like, okay, I had to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be the bad guy.
Yeah. And it's not to say that I won't have a conversation with these people later down the road.
No.
But as of right now, there's no reason for me to have this conversation because I'm still navigating it myself. And it's not that I won't like talk to them at some point, but you know, I ask for time, I ask for peace, and I ask for like myself to like be able to figure this out and like figure out how I feel because I am hurt. And I'm the type of person too, like this is very important. I feel like when you have any sort of relationship, when talking about like how you get over things, like I'm a person that like, I don't like to talk when I'm upset. I like to process. I process because here's the thing, and this is something I had to work on with Max, is like Max likes to talk things out. He's like, I want to talk it out with you. And I was like, that's great. But when I am upset, the way I work is that I take it in and I have to process it internally and like emotionally. And honestly, most times I will get over it. Like that's how I work, is like, I'm not even going to be upset. I'm not going to fight with anybody on anything because I'm going to like process the emotion, understand it, because I like to understand my emotions and feelings. I'm very self-aware when it comes to everything and anything around me. And especially the way I'm feeling and the way I'm acting, like I will take that all into consideration. I'm like, if I am doing something to hurt you, tell me. But I will take that time to process how I'm feeling and figure it out. And honestly, over time, I will get over it. And I'm like, there's no reason for me to be upset. And my mom always is like, Taylor, these people hurt you and you just forgive them. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't have time or space to have like negativity or hate in my heart.
That's such a good point. And I think that even like kind of getting out of, friendships even, I'm the same way. And Ryan and I we've had a fight, and it was the last time it happened because I was upset about something. And first of all, we had been drinking. So I was like, this is a recipe for disaster.
This is not the time to have a conversation.
I can say with 100% certainty, communication should not be happening if alcohol is involved, and also if the feelings are fresh. Give both people time to cool off. And that's very much so me. Like, I don't want to talk about it in the heat of the moment. I'd rather we both kind of, like you said, like I'll get over it, but then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ugly.
Because the wound is
it's too fresh.
It's too fresh.
Yeah.
It's too open. Like, give me some time to heal and I'll come back to you.
Yeah. And as far as communication is concerned, I could not recommend that more. Take some time.
Yeah. And I think it's also because I am an emotional woman. Like, I am somebody that understands and feels all emotions. Like, I'm very empathetic. Like, I feel everybody's emotions around me. Like, if somebody's having a bad day, I can immediately feel how you're feeling. Max doesn't believe me, but I can mark it anytime like something is off. Like, he'll act like nothing's wrong, but I will know. I know when things are off. I know when things are uncomfortable, but that's just me and my emotions. And so I also, like, one of the reasons why like I take in my emotions and want to understand it is because I am emotional. And so I don't want to overreact or underreact in a certain way. Like, I want to like think it through before
Let me make a pros and cons list of like.
Yeah, I'm going to make a pros and cons list of how I'm truly feeling. But
absolutely.
It's honestly, I don't know if it's healthy, but it's just how my brain works. And it's the only way that I find peace within myself is like taking time.
And I think that I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure that like biologically women, like we are ingrained to have that. Like we feel other people's emotions and we're just really tuned into that. And while it's a superpower, and also just like intuition and gut feelings, it's a superpower, but it's also incredibly like damaging.
Oh yeah.
You take it all in.
I do. I take in everything around me. It's like, and sometimes I'm like, I need to do like an energy release and just like let things go. But I'm learning. I'm doing better.
Me too. We're doing great.
One of the things I posted about it this morning, it was a little Barbie picture, and it was like me giving all my friends like great advice, and then realizing
not taking it.
Yeah, realizing I need to start taking my own advice. And I did this recently where one of my girlfriends was like, I don't know how to handle the situation. I was like, nothing is truly warranted from this. Like, feelings were hurt, things were said on one side, things happened. People got blocked, people got unfollowed, and just like a bunch of negativity. And I was like, honestly, like, take your time. Like, you don't need to respond right now. You don't have to respond. Like, you guys left it with the way that it was left. And People are probably going to say that's immature for me to say that, but
I don't think so.
I feel like in certain times and points of my life, like it's not necessary for me to like make sure that you are happy with yourself because you're upset. Like I've done that too much.
I've thought about this so much recently. One of my least favorite things, and I don't really have like I don't have drama, but I don't like, and that, you know, I've had it in past friendships where like you want to have a conversation about like whatever, maybe we're in an argument or like maybe something happened, and like you send me a text and it's a really long text, and then it's like I'm expected to respond right away. Like that's not fair. That's so unfair for you to expect me to respond right away, especially because, and I do think that you should acknowledge, because that's something that I've had in the past where I'm just like, hey, I got this. Like, I hear you. I do not want you to think I'm blowing you off. Give me a chance to kind of think about and respond to this text, because I would rather get a well thought out response than like a half-assed response.
Yeah.
But I don't think that everyone feels that way.
I'm like,
Next topic. Okay, this is a good one. How do you know when it's time to distance yourself or like end a friendship?
I think you just know. I find that if you are compromising your feelings and beliefs for another person and you're just feeling pain and it's like, I'm suffering by putting your feelings first, that's not fair to me.
Absolutely.
Like I'm questioning the people around, not questioning. How do I explain this? Guys, recently I've realized that I keep putting people's feelings first. This is why we're drinking Gaslighter rosé, because Taylor Swift drank it while she wrote You're Losing Me. And it's like a pathological people pleaser. And that's me. Like I am very much a people pleaser. And I always put people first. I always say that my best quality, my worst quality is how much I care, because I care so much for people and I always put people first, but I care too much that I put people before myself and my feelings. And so I let people kind of emotionally rule how I'm feeling, because I care what they think of me before I care about what I think of me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm learning now that I need to put myself first, because it's not fair to me that another person's feelings are manipulating the way I feel about a situation. Or if I've been hurt by this person, I get blamed that they're hurting because I hurt them, but I truly did nothing wrong. That's not fair to me. But what, like you said in the last episode, I can't worry about your feelings. That's not the right verbiage. It's like I can't worry about your feelings. Like I can't like worry about how you took this.
Yes.
What was the quote that we said? I don't remember.
I know what you're talking about. And the thing is, all you can do in these situations is be kind, because it is, I mean, there is a huge difference between intentionally hurting someone and unintentionally hurting someone. And I think where things get really, really tricky, and I know that my situation with I've had 2 friendship breakups that really, really just like hurt. And my one was very similar in the sense that like, she'd be like, you hurt me. And my defense wasn't that like, I wasn't denying that I hurt her, but I would say, well, that wasn't my intention. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I was like this evil, like, you always say that and I'm like, no, I'm just saying that my intention was not to hurt you.
I never want to hurt somebody.
Yeah, no, I will never, if you're going out of your way to hurt someone or intentionally hurting someone, there's a big difference.
Yeah, like you have to look on the inside. I like care too much about people's opinions to ever hurt somebody. And like, I never want somebody to feel less than anything. Like I never want anybody to feel pain, hurt, or like upset with me. And I mean, obviously it's going to happen. Like that's just how life works. But at the end of the day, like I will never do something or go out of my way to make you feel less than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think there is a massive, massive difference. Now, on that note,
I have a question for you. Okay. How do you distance yourself? What is like what would you say you would do? Say if somebody's wanting to distance themselves from people in their life, like whether it be a relationship or a friendship, could even be family. Like how do you distance yourself from that?
I think there's a lot of different approaches that you can take. you know, and depending on your circumstance, I feel like my microphone is
it falling down?
Is it? You can hear me good, right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Cool. Sorry,
Just-
guys.
just let
I
it
just want to
be.
make sure that you could hear. I think that it depends on the situation for sure. Now, obviously, if a conversation can be had, have that conversation. If you don't feel like you can have a conversation that's going to be beneficial for both parties, then, you know, as awful as it sounds, you know, maybe just take some time.
Yeah.
Take like step away. And again, that doesn't have to mean like you block them and you remove them from everything. It doesn't have to be that
We're
way.
adults.
And we look at breakups and like distancing from friends or growing apart from friends as like, you always look at it as a negative.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like I can genuinely say that I look at now, I do think there is a difference between like growing apart from someone or like being distant from someone and someone betraying you or doing something like egregious. Like if someone does that to me, like I'm not going to wish you ill, but at the same time, like never. Now, the people that you just kind of grow apart from are people that you had really, really, you know, a lot of experiences in growing with. Like I can say that I look back at those friendships, and even to this day, I'm like, I wish you nothing but the best,
Yeah.
even though we didn't have those conversations.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be happy.
Yeah. I never like, just because we don't talk anymore doesn't mean I don't care for you.
Yeah.
Like,
or like if you genuinely needed something.
Yeah, honestly, like
always.
I will always answer my phone. Like if somebody that like I used to be close to was like, Taylor, I need to talk to you. Like I need help, or I like something's going on. I will always be that way. And I'm also like not the type of person that like unfollows when things go awry. Like I will never just unfollow you or block you or like delete your number. Like we're not in high school. Like we don't do that anymore. Like you are still a person. You still have feelings. You still have emotions. Like, yes, like we're going through a time where we're distancing ourselves, but like I won't forget the good times we've had. Like I won't forget like the good parts you had in my life. But at this moment, like this is just not what I need.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy for me. And that's okay.
And especially if there's a pattern.
Yeah.
Because another thing is like we give so much grace to our female friendships, whereas like in romantic relationships, if there was a pattern of I don't want to say
disloyalty.
abuse. Yeah, like not even abuse, but just like toxicity.
Yeah.
Like
Red flags.
yeah, like we're like, okay, well, like screw that guy. But then in our friendships, like if there's a toxicity, we're like, oh my God, how could she just like walk away? And it's like, no.
I feel like I let a lot more slide in my friendships, like with my girls, than I do it with like a partner.
Well, and I will say that like in any breakup that I've ever had romantically, it's always been unhealthy and just like there's something big that happens. And same with friendships, like you just kind of walk, like you're like, okay, that's it. But then in friendships, a lot of times it's a lot different than that. It's like, okay, we just kind of grew apart.
Yeah.
Like there's never one thing that's like, this is why.
Yeah.
What about friendship red flags? Do we want to get into that?
Oh gosh, yeah, we might as well. I'm like,
Let's just cover all the bases so we don't have to do this again.
What are your friendship red flags, Sid?
Ooh.
I'm like, do I do any of them?
No. First and foremost, I think that like any friend that makes you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you question anything about like yourself, that's obviously like a red flag. I will say, oh gosh, silent competition.
Yeah.
I don't want to compete with any of my friends. That's just not like you winning has no impact on me and vice versa. That should never be a thing. If you feel like you can't trust them, I'm trying to think.
I feel like I dealt with like a lot of like backhanded compliments where it's like, I'll never forget, it was like some people were like, shut up, you're pretty. Like you don't understand like what I'm going through. And I was like, that's not okay. One. And like, just because I'm pretty doesn't mean like I don't struggle with things. Like just because I look a certain way doesn't mean I don't deal with like hard times. So I feel like that's a red flag. I found recently as I've gotten older, friends who just want to sit and talk about other friends is a red flag. Because I'm like, if you're sitting here to talk about, and you're talking about this person to me, what makes me think that you're not sitting and talking about me to other people?
With 100% certainty they are.
Oh, I've recently found out that people are.
And also a big one, I feel like, okay, I was in a situation where like, you know that your friend is talking bad about you. Like we're literally sitting here together and I say something, you make a face and you pick your phone up and start texting. It's like that's that. I feel like that kind of goes on par with like making you not feel great about yourself.
Yeah. It comes with my distrust. Like I get nervous. Like I keep a lot of things in. I don't tell a lot of people a lot of things that are going on in my life because of the distrust that I have for people like that I've been like around, that I've seen them just like tell everybody's business. And I'm like, that doesn't make you any better.
Well, and especially things that you know, like someone tells you and you're like, they probably wouldn't want me to know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm just
I
like,
had one. Oh, I have a really big one.
oh gosh.
When you leave hanging out with them and you feel drained, you never feel
Energy
good.
vampires.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like there's some people that like, it takes, even a phone call can take a lot out of me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've definitely had that where you're just like sobbing.
Yeah.
You're just like, I can't, like, I don't know why I feel this way.
I'm like, and I feel like there's one where it's like anytime that it's just about them. Like everything is about them. Every situation is about them. And like, not that that's not like it's not a bad thing, but like, even when I'm like trying to have a conversation with them about something that I'm possibly going through and they're like, well, you could be doing this, you could be dealing with this. And I'm like, I get that that's also bad. Like I understand that, but like this is bothering me and hurting me right now.
Right. And I do think like,
but I do love a friend that like, because I am that friend that I'm going to be like, I'm going to be brutal and I'm going to be honest. Like that's the one thing about me, like as a friend, is like, I'm going to tell you straight up how it is. I will never hide anything.
I think that's a good quality.
But I do it in like a nice way. I don't ever want to come off harsh.
No, I think that there's a difference because, and I also think that like in any time that like you're going through something painful and you're venting to a friend, there's a difference between like, well, like your feelings are so valid, but here's a perspective. Like it could be this versus them being like, well, my situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, we're not talking about you.
We're not talking about you right now. We'll get to you later, Jessica.
But then because I did kind of try to think, because I'm not like quick on my feet like that.
Yeah.
So I did put down like different things that I like in my experience have turned out to not be healthy. A big one, like for example, let's say you ask your friend for advice and they don't take it, and then you get mad. Like,
wait, you ask your friend for advice and
they give you advice. Like let's say like I'm venting to you.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, this is not about Taylor. I'm venting to you and you're like, this is what you should do, or like this, and you decide not to ultimately do that, or like I decide ultimately not to do that. And then like you're mad at me because of a decision I made that doesn't affect you. I think I've had friends like that where it's like, this has absolutely nothing to do with you. Why? Like, why are we fighting about this?
No, honestly, like truthfully, like I get upset. Like I recently, not recently, but I was thinking about this, but like, because I knew this was our topic of our episode, but like hiding what I'm doing, like I'm walking on eggshells around my friend because they're going to be upset that I was with like a certain person, or I was doing a certain thing, or like really anything, to be honest. Like if I'm having to walk on eggshells around you, like that's not okay. Like that's
the
not how.
moment you're hiding good news from someone.
Yeah, because like you're gonna hurt them. Like you're worried about how they're gonna feel about it, even though like it's good for you.
It has nothing to do with them.
I know.
Yeah.
And I need to be better at that.
And that was I had a like feeling like you can't be honest with them, or you have to hide things from them that have nothing to do with the friendship.
Yeah.
That's incredibly unhealthy. And I want to wrap up on this one because I think it's really important. You don't like the person you are when you're around them, or like you don't like the person you are in the friendship, because I will take full accountability and say that I have been a person that I didn't like in friendships.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look yourself in the mirror and be like, this is not the version of myself that I want to be.
No, I mean, there's definitely a version of myself that I can remember back to that, like, I just wasn't myself. Like I was kind, I was nice, I was caring, but like some of the people I was around were not that way. Like our values and ideas and like how we treat people were not the same. Like how we viewed people were not the same. Obviously, like I've stepped away from those friendships like a long time ago, but yeah, that's a big one. That's a really big one.
I think that it's huge because it takes a level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that in any situation, you know, like we're sitting here talking about our own experiences and friendships that weren't maybe healthy or that we aren't as close with anymore. But just as much as we're talking about how unhealthy it was and like we're not pointing fingers, but there are levels to like, okay, well, I wasn't, I maybe did something. And I always try to look at myself in the mirror and think, okay, well, like, yes, maybe they're mostly to blame, but here are things that I was doing. And one of my worst qualities in 2021 was that I would like almost take on like the personality of
Your friends?
one specific. And so like anytime, and it was like night and day to the point that Ryan was you are an entirely different, word for word was like, you're so sweet and kind. And when this person's around, you're not.
You're just nasty.
Yeah. And I knew it too. And that's something that's also troubling. And is like, I knew it the whole time. I just had to take time to admit it to myself. But
You have to look yourself in the mirror.
Like if you for a second are like, I don't like this version of myself, it maybe it's time to like reevaluate the friendship, because we do take on, even if we try our hardest not to, you take on the qualities of the people around you.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's honestly a great one too. I feel like it's so important. Like, if I'm hurting somebody's feelings, and unintentionally trying to hurt, something I did hurt your feelings, I am sorry. Like I never want you to feel a certain way. Like I never want to like make anybody upset. Like I will love you regardless. Like I have nothing but love for people in my heart. Like I just want the best for everybody. But if it's time and time again, like I'm unintentionally like hurting you apparently, and then you are reciprocating by hurting me and saying mean, nasty things to me or about me, like that's when a conversation I feel like should be had.
It should be had before, because at that point it becomes literally just like
and like talk it out.
Yeah. Instead of like trying to one up each other. Like that's not healthy at all. Well, and I feel like you're going to be better at this next thing than me. Healthy conflict resolution.
It depends on the situation. Honestly,
True.
like I take every situation differently. Every situation, like there's one situation that comes to mind with somebody that like I'd known for years, like with like college and sorority and just my world that I lived in. And I gave her the shirt off my back. Like I loved her more than anything. Like we were ride or die. Like we literally did everything together. And one day out of the blue, like our last text message was, I love you. And it came from me. And I was like, I love you so much. Like da 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 da. And never heard from them after that. And they are still around people that like I'm friends with. Cause like obviously like we have the same circle of people. And even those people have realized, and like some of the people that I'm close to are like, absolutely not. Like we know what you did. Like you literally cut her out of your life for no reason, like for no reason, like no reason warranted, and like did some harsh things to me. And I had grace in my heart to be like, I love you. And I recently had to see her, but like I didn't have a conversation with her. I wasn't ready for that conversation yet, but I didn't think it was warranted, because time and time again, like I still showed up for her and loved her and supported her when she wanted nothing to do with me. And she couldn't give me the same grace that I had in my heart. And like, that's fine. But there was no reason for me to like even try to warrant or fix that situation, because it was too far gone. Like I felt like I did too much and nothing was reciprocated. And then there are relationships that I had that like really hurt me, like especially with like the person that I just rekindled things with. Like I love this girl more than anything. Like she is like my sister, and we went through like obviously things that I hurt her, she hurt me. We didn't talk about it. And honestly, like we talked about it when we saw each other, and we're like, we wish we would have had that conversation. Like we wish we would have just talked it out, because like it would have been fine. We would have gone.
You wouldn't have missed out on the time.
We wouldn't have missed out on 2 years of our lives together, and like we would have gotten through it, and we would have had such a great time together. And like we promised each other that we won't allow ourselves to do that. So it really just depends on the situation, because like sometimes fallouts in relationships, there's nothing behind it. Like you didn't mean for it to happen, and you can get back together and like make things great again. But then there's some relationships that like you have truly just outgrown. And like I always say, like people are in your life for like a lesson, or there are people in your life forever. And sometimes there are people in your life for a lesson to teach you things and like show you things. And then sometimes things happen and you just have to get through it.
And I think that having an appreciation for each of those like experiences and people is so important. And I will say, like, I'm definitely guilty of, you know, being angry, especially like if like someone did me dirty. But in that experience, like I learned the importance of the forgiveness isn't for them.
Yeah, it's for you.
It's for me so that I can move on with my life. And that was, I mean, I just like, I crippled myself with anger. And then I was like, you know what? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, when I lay my head down on the pillow, like I know who I am and like they know what actually happened. And that's that.
You know, I always say like people can live in their little Delulu fantasies, but as long as I'm aware Delulu fantasies, but as long as I know that I'm happy with myself and who I am, that's all that matters. And like my mom always makes fun of me because she's like, you just forgive so easily. You forgive so like these people literally do you so dirty and you just are okay with it. Like you just hop back in. And I'm like, because at the end of the day, like as a Christian, like I forgive you, anybody for whatever they've done. I don't forget. Like I will never forget.
Oh, yeah.
I will never forget what you did, but I will forgive you for whatever you did. And and honestly, like even when people do me so wrong, like God forbid Max was to like break up with me, hurt me in so many ways, like I will forgive you. I'll be like, you know what? It's okay. I learned from this lesson and I'll take it on the chin like a champ and just walk through it.
Yeah, and that Ryan always says that. He's like, you take everything on the chin. And I think that when you can understand that, and I think we talked about this last episode, but like it's a reflection of those people, not yourself. And it honestly can give you a lot of perspective and just like you were hurting so badly to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, honestly. And it's like, I also think like I'm very cognizant of the way I treat people. I always want to be kind. Like I always want to like give people the best version of myself. I always want to be positive. And like, I just don't have space in my heart or my life for negativity. Like I don't get angry at a lot of things because I see how unhappy it makes people. So I also will be in a Delulu world where I just think everything's sunshine and rainbows. I obviously know it's not, but I choose to look at the brighter side of things. And I've honestly become so much more happier since doing that.
You definitely have to. Okay, so we've talked a lot about toxic relationships, red flags, navigating all of that. Now, on the other side of it, what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to put themselves back out there and make new friends in their 20s?
Just do it. Honestly, I know people get nervous and they're like, how do you even make friends at your 20s? Like, go to classes. Like, a lot of my girlfriends, like, through, like, in Dallas or social media, like, they meet through social media. They meet going to, like, Pilates classes and going to, like, social events out. And, like, there's always things to do in cities. So go out and meet these people. Like go out and meet your friends. Like go to the gym, find like-minded people. Honestly, a lot of my relationships and friendships have truly come through from Instagram, which is strange. I have a lot of girlfriends that I'm like very close with on Instagram, and then we meet in real life and like love each other. Like one of my friends, Reagan, like we had been friends on social media. We talked on social media, but we never met in person. Then we met in person and now we're good friends. Like just talk to people on social media and like one day you're going to run into them and it's going to be like, oh my God. And then y'all are going to become friends. Y'all are going to start doing things together. That's the best way to do it. Or just go to classes. And honestly, church is a great
one.
way. Church, like especially like community groups, like it's a great way to meet people.
Any kind of like group setting. I think that that's really great. And I will say, you know, from my perspective, I know that it's hard to like let your walls down whenever you've like truly been hurt. But you're only hurting yourself by not letting people in. And I can like speak to this friendship and just like recently I'm like, oh, like, okay, it's not that scary. Like let your walls down. And I know that especially like because I know we talked about like having good judgment in people and you kind of don't trust your judgment whenever you're wrong about someone. But that doesn't mean that you're wrong about everyone.
Yeah.
Like that's not everybody.
Not everybody's out in the world to hurt you.
Yes.
And like you have to just be understanding of that situation. Obviously, like don't just spill all your secrets out the first night. But don't think everybody's going in to a relationship to like use you. Like there was a point in my life where like I was told like so many people were like only friends with me because of my title or because I look a certain way or because I had X amount of followers, which I have like barely any followers at the time, like not at the time, but like even now. And I'm like, what are they going to gain like from that? Like nothing. Like that's really nothing at the end of the day. Like just don't think that these people are out there to like do something bad.
Don't think the worst of people.
Yeah.
Go into everything thinking the absolute best. And the thing is, like, if you're wrong, you're gonna find out.
Yeah.
And it might be a little bit painful, but it's better to put yourself out there than to not.
Oh yeah.
Because you're only hurting yourself.
I've found as I gotten older, like my circle's gotten smaller, but my friends are more genuine.
Yeah, I prefer that. If you have one person, like literally one.
I'd rather have one good person than 1,000 people. My mom used to tell me this too. She's like, as many people like you, more people are going to hate you. And I always said, like, I'd rather have one good friend who is like loyal and doesn't talk about me than have a million good friends who don't like me and talk about me all the time.
Yeah, no. I want like genuinely like just one. I'm cool with that.
I'm great with one.
And I don't think that, I think that a big thing is, you know, as women especially, we kind of correlate like our worth to how many friends we have.
Yeah.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Okay. What are your green flags for friendships?
Oh my gosh.
We talked about red flags. Let's talk about green flags.
Thank you for that. That's a shift into the positivity. Number one, I mean, obviously, I think loyalty is huge. It's my number one. Like in any relationship, loyalty is big. Obviously, like makes you feel good about yourself. Someone that just like accepts you as you are.
Yeah.
Like you feel fully comfortable in whatever, like maybe you had a bad day, maybe you had a good day, but just like being yourself and they accept you. Like you don't have to basically, like if you can do anything that doesn't benefit them and they're still like around.
Yeah.
And I also like, I highly value, I look at like, okay, what kind of friend do I want? And I try to like mimic that. Like what we talked about, like you can be honest with me and you can call me out on my BS and that changes nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I want you to be able to tell me what's like going on. And like, I love when my friends are like, okay, Taylor, you need to like step out of the situation and like look at it this way and think about how this could like affect everything. I love when friends kind of open my eyes to different things that could be going on in the situation and help me understand things better and understand my feelings and understand myself better. I think respect is something that we look for a lot in relationships when it comes to dating. We don't look for when it comes to friendships. Because I feel like sometimes, I hate to say girls, but sometimes girls don't respect each other and like our boundaries and understandings. And like sometimes girls can say some mean things and like you have to respect that sometimes that can hurt my feelings.
I could not agree more. Yeah, no, I just think the standards in friendships versus romantic relationships are a little bit different and they should be exactly the same.
I have another good green flag.
I'm listening.
I love when my girlfriends can joke around with me.
Sarcasm,
like
yes.
when they're not so serious. Because I have so many, like I've had so many relationships that were just so serious and that like I want a friend that like I could literally be goofy with.
Roast me.
Make
me laugh, yes.
Sarcasm
is my love language.
Same. That's why we get along.
I love
literally
that.
But like I kid you not, I say it all the time. Like I want somebody that can like goof around with me and like doesn't have to be so serious.
Because it's not. It's not serious.
It's not that serious.
I thought of one and I lost my train of thought. Shoot, we'll come back. We'll pivot back.
She's gonna remember here in a second.
Oh gosh.
What was
Green
it?
flag.
A green flag.
Oh, I was gonna say, and this, I guess, for me, like you mentioned that like you picked back up. You have friends where you like pick back up where you left off. I'm not a clingy friend.
No.
And so I do really, really unwell.
She does not respond to text.
My toxic trait. My red flag is that
it's not red.
I'm horrible. I'm just horrible at responding to text, and not even in the sense like I can read a text and be like, oh yeah. Think I responded, and then like, or like you'll text me and I'll open it and be like, oh God, there are 3 other texts. Like
there are 3 other texts in there.
I changed Taylor's text tone.
So yeah, now when I text her, she's like has a new tone for me.
I'm working on it. I feel like I am getting better.
I'm not a good texter either, and all my girlfriends will say this. And like Avery and Carly will always call me out on it because I'm the driest texter. I'd rather you call me and pick up the phone and like FaceTime me rather than text me.
That's why I FaceTimed you earlier.
Yeah,
this
I
week.
love it. Like I'd rather that happen than actually text me because I have so many notifications on my phone. I have so much I work off my phone. So like I have so much going on my
Same.
phone that like sometimes texts get overwhelming for me. And I'm not good at writing my feelings out. I'm better at like just verbalizing how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. But like my girlfriends are like, I'll never forget it. Like when Carly told me she was pregnant or something, like I like sent a text and I was like, oh, yay. And like I was genuinely so excited. Like I was crying, but I literally, like, if you read it, you're like, is she mad at me? I'm a horrible texter.
Me texting you and being like, I have like 5 emojis in the past text, so I'm gonna cool it. I'm gonna cool it off a
I
little.
don't care. You can have them. But I'm just like, I really am bad at it. Like, I know.
But
like,
I don't.
I'd
Like,
hate dating me.
a green flag for me is someone who gets that and understands it and doesn't take it personally, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it genuinely isn't personal. I
No.
just, like, same as you, I am constantly on my computer or my phone. And so at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is go through.
Yeah,
and,
I'm
like,
not texting.
No, it's like, I just want to like put my phone down and be
At
present.
9 o'clock, like, I want to spend that time with Max. And like, God, we're getting old.
I'm in my grandma mode at that time.
I'm in my grandma era. Yeah, no, I just want to like sit down and text, like not text and like just like either scroll on TikTok and not be disturbed, or I am with Max and I just want to like hang out and not think about anything.
Just be mindless
But
and goofy and silly.
you know, I think it's important to like nurture and like care about the relationships that you have around you. I think it's very important that
too.
like you do care about them. And I know we talked about a lot of distancing and protecting your peace, and like that is important, but like make sure you are checking in on those relationships, even when I have like my girlfriends that I don't talk to every month, or I go 3 months, but like sometimes like that check-in is good because you never really know what people are going through. And I've found recently too, like with the girls that I like don't talk to all the time, that I'm still like, I would consider some of my best friends, like they're like, honestly, thank you for checking in. Like that means a lot. So nurture your relationships. I know we say distance too, but like nurturing is also very important for the
Very.
relationships that you need to like take care of.
And also, like, if you're not in a headspace to maybe like have those like check-ins, or like maybe you've been a little bit distant, instead of just like not saying anything, like one thing that I've really, really practiced is being like, hey, I am
Honest.
so sorry. Yeah. Just vulnerability. Like,
Yeah.
and I've never had a negative response. Like I've had some friends back in Ohio who like have texted me, and especially like I had been really struggling with my mental health. And instead of just like not saying anything, I was like, listen, I am so sorry. And I was just honest.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation about it and it was all good. But that helps people to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think being honest and upfront is the most important like way to like have a very good, healthy relationship. Because if you're hiding things, you're not telling the truth, or you're not being honest of how you're feeling, that can cause a lot of like ruffles in the feathers.
And like assumptions that aren't true.
Yeah. If you're overthinking is healthy, but like you shouldn't have to overthink and they shouldn't have to overthink.
At the end of the day, like just ask.
Yeah.
Just talk.
Like if you're feeling any sort of way, like I'd rather you come up to me and say it rather than just like let it fester.
Me too. Because literally like there is a 100% chance that I'm going to
It's
be
nothing.
like, whoa. Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know I looked at you that way.
I thought I did respond.
I'm like, I wanted you to win.
Yeah. I was rooting for you.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Guys,
100%.
I feel like we should get into
The advice?
The advice column.
Oh gosh, let's
Pull
see.
it
Let's
up.
get some spicy stuff going here. So you read them last week. I got.
This is Sid's turn. Sid's taking the wheel.
Oh God. Oh.
My
God.
leg's asleep.
Oh, this is a good one. Best friend and significant other don't get along.
Oof. I've dealt with
There's
that
a
one.
backstory, but it's just we've tried to get together for double dates and dinner, but my friend is always condescending and rude. How do I find a balance between these two people that I love? I'm sick of the tension. That's a good one.
I think just having a conversation, again, being upfront, like don't be rude about it, but like just be like, hey, like honestly, sometimes some of the things you say can come off not harsh, but unsettling with my significant other. And I care about your our relationship as much as I care about his and I's relationship. And I want to make sure that like I'm fostering a community of healthy conversations between both. And like, I never want you to feel a certain way and I would never want him to feel a certain way. So if we can kind of hone in or handle those conversations a little bit differently, or the way that you're speaking or the tone that you're using towards him, if we could change that and make it a little bit more of a positive tone, then that will be better. And honestly, like a good friend should be understanding of all of your relationships.
Well, and just as simple as obviously go at it from the standpoint, do not go crazy, but just like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you and explain, like, I love both of you. And this, like, at the end of the day is causing me like
Pain.
Yeah, me pain. So, and like, maybe you don't realize, like, hey, maybe you don't realize that you're doing this, but
That's not a situation where like you guys have to have an all out like screaming war with each other. It just needs to be a conversation that's had that like, I want to protect your feelings. I want to protect his feelings. Let's tone down like the way we speak to each other.
until
like,
maybe we're a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I saw the beginning of this one. Am I an asshole or too sensitive?
I love how that started.
I saw it and was like, this one for sure. Am I an asshole or too sensitive for not wanting to be friends anymore because they're still friends with someone who they know did something awful to me?
Can I read this again? Say this to me again? Because I have a feeling this is, my back hurts. Let me see. Too sensitive for not wanting to be friends anymore because they're still friends with someone who they know did something awful and betrayed me. No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But here's the thing. I am the friend that is still friends with that person. And that person is still friends. So here's a little backstory. I've been through this, and I've been on both. I've been on both sides where I'm friends with the person who's friends with somebody that did something dirty to me, but I've also been friends with the person that apparently did something dirty to that person. But I know both sides of the story. You know, there's always two sides. There's always three sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. And
your mouth to Jesus.
Yeah, honestly, and it has to be handled in the right way because things can go touchy at this point, and it just needs to be a conversation that needs to be had. But I've had a friend that like yelled at me for being friends with this person that apparently hurt them and thought that I was also hurting them, but they assumed that I was hurting them and that these things were going on, but they didn't have the like, not decency, but they just didn't come and talk to me about it and like let me explain everything. And I didn't realize I was hurting them at the time. But I'm like, you are also friends with these people that hurt me, and I never spoke up about it because I didn't care, because that's your relationship. You're allowed to have friendships and relationships with other people. I just don't intertwine or mix and mingle with those. I don't like mix my relationship with that person with your relationship. And, you know, I'm not somebody that likes to get in the middle of drama at all. Like, I feel like I try to stay out of it as much as possible because I just can't handle it. It gives me anxiety.
I don't do it.
And so, you know, I think it's okay to like not be friends with that person anymore if that's what makes you feel better. But obviously have a conversation and talk to them and be like, you know, it does hurt my feelings, but I can't ask you to like stop being friends with this person just because it hurts me.
I do think, you know,
does that make me bad?
No. I agree 100% because I can see both sides of it. And I'm sure that I've been friends with someone that did someone dirty. It's never been like brought to my attention. But at the end of the day, like, I'm sure that like I've hurt someone unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be someone that hurt someone, you know? And I've been on the side of it where I was like straight up, like in the situation, I was like, I don't want you to feel like you have to choose.
Yeah.
All I ask is that you respect the fact that like, I don't want them to know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And if at the end of the day you're still uncomfortable with it, just be honest, because that's hard. Like that person that's still friends with they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like they're just stuck in the middle, and that's a horrible, I would not want to be in that position. So I can't imagine.
It's not easy. And it's like, I'm the type of person that's like, I'm not going to share what's going on in another person's life with another one of my friends. That's not fair.
Right.
And so it's like, you should understand and know me well enough as a friend that I'm not going to tell you what that person has told me. And like, sometimes me and this person don't even talk about, we talk about like our relationships, and we talk about our like future goals and like things that are going on in our world. And like, people, like that person assumed that like we were like, I knew everything that was going on in the back end and I had no clue. Like I was oblivious to it all, and it completely destroyed our friendship. And that's so unfortunate. But again, that's what happens when you ask, like you go after somebody for something that like you don't know the full story of. Like just talk to them.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, this really all comes back to communication.
Yeah.
Just communicate what your boundaries are. And I don't think that, no, I don't think that makes you an asshole. But
I think the moral of the story is, again, know your boundaries with yourself and know if you need to have that conversation and communicate with the person, or know that you just need to take time and step away and understand like your feelings and protect your feelings in order to like feel okay about yourself.
Exactly. Because everyone's a little bit different. How many are we doing? I think we have 8.
Just keep going.
Okay.
Might as well.
Oh, I feel like this is a good one. I have a casual friend, I guess you'd call it, that I don't really click with. She tries to hang out a lot, and it's not that I don't like spending time. It's not that I don't like spending time with her. I just feel like our interests are way different. She likes to drink and always bases plans around that, but I don't really enjoy it.
I think just, again, conversation.
Yep.
Talk to her and be like, I'm not somebody that drinks. I have a lot of girlfriends that don't drink, that are sober. And like, I'm very understanding of that. And I would never be like, let's go get margaritas. Like, let's go out.
I will say, I read a little bit further, and it says, I don't want to drink, and she pressures me. So again, I feel like that's another conversation where you either communicate it, and then if they still don't respect it, maybe you just
you just distance yourself.
Exactly.
You're like, honestly, like this is just like, it doesn't mean I don't love you, but I just can't. Like, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be put in that position. And a friend shouldn't put you in a position that like compromises your values.
No, that's a respect thing. My ex-best friend wants to rekindle, and I feel like I don't really want to, but I don't want to hurt her.
Man, again,
Honesty.
Wow.
Well, these are all like,
yeah.
If you can take one thing away from this pod, this episode,
Communication. Be honest. Like, tell her how you feel. But like, honestly, like, no, nothing wrong. Like, thank you for saying this to me. Thank you for reaching out to me. Like, I respect that you do that. But right now, like for me, I just need to like take time for myself and distance myself. And I hope that your friend will be understanding.
I would really, really hope. And maybe that means like, maybe you guys could just like casually go get coffee. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to rekindle and immediately be besties again.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
Okay. I don't know if we should do this one.
Can I read it?
Close best friend. Yeah.
Let me read this. Hold on, guys. I think this is fine. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Close best friends don't get along, and I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. I avoid group interactions, which give me anxiety because all of our plans have to be separate. That's fine. It's okay to have 2 separate groups of friends.
Absolutely. I also think that this is super similar to the boyfriend, significant other, and friendship one. If you have a conversation with those 2 people and there's still no resolution, do things separate.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I have like multiple different groups of friends, and like I would say I had like 2 like really good best friends, and they aren't friends with each other, and like they're not like, I'm not saying they don't get along, but like they just aren't friends with one another. And like I don't ever ask them to do 2 things together. Like, my life with them is different than like my life with my other friend. Like, I have different friends like in different areas. Is that strange?
100%. And I think that it's okay if you're not always in the same, like,
you don't have to do everything together. You shouldn't
feel pressured to have every single one of your friends in the same group at all times. And maybe that's just a conversation you have. Like, I just think it's okay to have separate things.
Yeah. You have your work best friends, and you have your workout best friends. You have your real life best friends.
Right. And I don't think it makes you any kind of a bad person to be like, these are 2 entirely separate things.
But they are 2 separate relationships.
Exactly. But I'm just mean like in a friend group.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It'll be okay.
Do separate things. Have fun.
This is really making me thankful for you and the friendship.
She's like, I said I wasn't going to get emotional, but here we are.
Okay. I think this might be the last one.
Okay.
Friend is draining. Hey, y'all. I think there's a subject line. Hey, y'all. I'm just going to keep this short and simple. I feel drained after hanging out with a certain friend. We've talked about this. I have zero energy to even talk, and I'll only talk if they ask me something. The only thing I can think of talking about is talking bad about other people, which I don't really want to do. It feels mean. They're one of my closest friends, so it'd be hard to completely cut them out. But they have a lot of friends. So if I do something wrong, I feel like there will be trash about me going around.
Oh, I literally am in your same boat.
I was gonna say okay, but here's the thing. Number one, this goes so back to what I was saying about if you are hanging out with someone and consistently feeling drained or awful,
That's
not
not
good.
okay.
Also, you clearly said that like you don't want to talk badly about people, but that seems like
That's like the only conversation. You shouldn't. Like people I'm friends with. I don't have conversations like that. And I've had people in my life that like had conversations like that. And I always be like, can we change the subject? Because again, confrontation. I don't like being uncomfortable. And I'd be like, let's have a different conversation. Let's change the subject. Like, okay, like, anywho, like next thing, like I don't want to get into that. And I don't ever want to talk about anybody badly because I don't want anyone to ever talk badly about me. And I know there are people that are always going to talk badly about me, but at the end of the day, if I can control who's saying what to me and what I'm saying about other people, I can control what I'm doing. And
all you can control is yourself.
yeah, set boundaries and be like, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Like, I don't want to talk about people. Like, I don't want to. And honestly, like at the end of the day, who cares? If they're going to say something mean and they're going to cause problems, who cares? Because at the end of the day, do you want people like that in your life? No.
Exactly. And also, I think that it's really difficult to get comfortable with like being the villain or like people not knowing your side of the story. So for example, let's say like you distance yourself and gossip does go around about you. Okay. If people believe that, then like they're not people you want to have in your life.
Yeah, they're not people you want in your life, but I know it can be hard. And like I'm as somebody that's like
Me too.
I like one of the reasons like I was worried about ending a friendship with somebody is because I was like, they're gonna try to ruin my life. And like honestly, like at the end of the day, the people that know me and that love me will sit and stand by me and know my character. Like the people that truly know my character will never listen to what the other people have to say about me. And if those people are swayed so easily to believe that you are this god awful human because of what this one person says, then they are not your friends.
No.
Like there are people that are better for you, that are going to be supportive of you, that respect your boundaries, that like you can actually have deep conversations with, that aren't going to like be talking about people. Like focus on the good.
Yes. And I will say that as uncomfortable as it is, to step away from something like that. And, you know, I can be vulnerable in the fact that I drove myself crazy wanting my side of the story to be heard. But in letting that go and just being like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Like I'm in a position now that I never thought I would be in with the friends and just like everything that's going on in my life. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. And I was talking to Ryan about this earlier, I think yesterday or maybe the day before. I was like, I finally am in a place where I'm like, I can see exactly why all of these things had to happen. And as much as I didn't want to let these people go and it hurt, I'm so thankful that I kind of like stepped into that discomfort.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Like I never would have been here had I stayed in those those toxic situations.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of growth that can happen when dealing with difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so like don't be afraid to deal with it. I think you have to in order to get through it, or it's just going to like sit there and fester over time and you're going to be unhappy and unsettled in your life, and that's just not okay, and that's just not a good way to live. And again, like I really focus on the relationships that I have and the good relationships I have, and I like pour into those, and I give those as much as I can, like to feel good about myself and to make those people feel good, because I'm like, these people truly are my ride or dies and have been with me for so long and are truly like champions of like wanting to live a positive and happy life, and they want me to also live that same way. So just focus on the good and like your relationships that you have, and like honestly, like learning and setting boundaries for yourself is so important. And I think that's something that's like not talked about enough, and
Underrated.
it's so underrated. And like I'm truly just now learning a lot about boundaries and like what my boundaries are, and like they are forever changing, but it is important to understand them, and like it's okay to have them. Like it doesn't make you a bad person that you have boundaries and you want to distance yourself. It's okay. But just like communicate with your people around you and just talk.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk.
I think you're the one that told me anybody who has a problem with your boundaries is because they don't benefit them.
Yeah.
I think you told me that.
I think so too.
I was like, amen, hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't like when they are offended by your boundaries. And I'm like, then I'm sorry that offends you, but that's what I need to protect myself.
The right people will stay. That's all I will say.
They will always stay. But, this was a really good episode. I hope it was eye-opening for y'all. Like, we mean no love by this. Like, I have no hate in my heart for anybody in my life, in my world, or like people not even in my life, in my world. I just want everybody to feel good about themselves. And like, I never mean to ever hurt anybody, and I never want to. Like, I truly mean kindness with my heart. And
I can say that this is an episode that I think we both are probably like treading lightly a little bit.
I was really nervous.
Me too. Because
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, she's talking about me, or like, this is my relationship. Like, no, like, obviously some relationships were talked about, but like, doesn't mean I don't love you and I don't care about you. It's just like, we're in certain situations that like, I just need some time and some peace and like respect what I'm feeling and my boundaries. And I want nothing but the best for you. Mm-hmm. And I truly do hope that we get back to a good place, but that just takes time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that like, this is a topic that everyone has experienced at one time or another. And all we can speak on is our own experiences. Yeah. So inadvertently,
as the years,
I hope that nobody's feelings got hurt. But just like you said, all we can do is say like, we love you. We wish you nothing but the best. But these were our experiences.
These are how we're feeling. But guys, this was the end of episode 2 of the Girl Social. Happy holidays. It is Christmas Eve. We didn't talk about this. I'm wearing a Christmas sweater.
I will be honest. I dug through boxes.
I know. She should have asked me. I have so many.
The thing is, my Christmas sweater, I didn't think about this. It has bells on it. So it might have been a little.
She would have been jingling.
Would have been jingle belling.
She would have been jingle belling. But, the holiday season's around, and this is the time to like truly fester. Excuse me, Taylor. This is truly the time to like focus on the good and the happiness in your relationship. So thank God every day for the people you have in your world that love you and support you, and don't take those relationships too lightly. Like, pour some love into them this holiday season. I hope you guys have a great one.
A great holiday. We'll be back for episode 3 on New Year's, right?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Woo!
We're gonna be
2024.
We're gonna be talking about all the fun things that happened in 2023, our goals that we accomplished in 2023, and what we want to accomplish in 2024, and how we're gonna achieve that.
We should have an accountability column. I don't know. Yeah, because advice for goals is gonna
be. We could have like a Discord.
Love that.
We could do a Discord and we'll talk and chat. But guys, thank you guys so much for joining in with us today. I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was a little bit more of a nerve-wracking. I mean, we were nervous the last one, but this one was a little bit more nervous for me and Sid, because it is crazy kind of talking about like relationships that we've been through and
people that we love still. Yeah,
people that we love still, but like we never want to hurt anybody's feelings. But thanks, guys. Let us know what you guys want to see down below. Comment, subscribe. Guys, remember, this podcast is going to be ever changing until we get into our new setup and our new groove. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below where you're from, what you guys would like to see from us. We love you guys so much.
We do. We love you so much.
And this is just the Girl Social. Bye.
Woo!
Oh, gosh. Merry Christmas.
I started to panic about my mic.
I know your mic. I just kept watching it go.
I was like, it's dropping, and I did.
Merry Christmas.
I don't even know what happened.
I know. I'm like, Max, fix the mic stand. Max texted me, wrap it up, clown. I finished. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
And happy holidays. Max is going to be like, you are so annoying. ASMR.
Wait, oh my gosh.
Ready?
Oh my God. Stop it right now. My least favorite ASMR.
Diddy booty.
Dude.
Diddy booty.
I'd like for everyone to know that my microphone fell.
Her mic was just like the
Look,
whole.
I'm literally sitting here and I was like, Taylor, my microphone. My microphone.
You just see Sid starts up high and then she just slowly like starts sinking down.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head, I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked, I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think. Give me props when I rap. If you want,